Hi, I'm Josh Merwin. I'm the founder of the Houston International Sports Film Festival. I'm here at River Oaks Chrysler Jeep Dodge, and we're launching an interview series that's going to be once a week. Going to be interviewing filmmakers that have submitted to the festival, directors, actors, athletes, giving you a behind-the-scenes take on how sports films relate to life and how sports help kids learn life lessons.
Hey guys, this is Blake Helfman. I'm here with Josh Merwin, River Oaks Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram. We are super excited about the partnership that Josh and I have put together. Houston International Sports Film Festival, River Oaks Chrysler Jeep Dodge is a premier sponsor. We're going to be offering discounts on cars. We're going to be giving away sports memorabilia, and we are so excited to partner with them. Tell us a little bit about the Sports Film Festival, Josh.
Yeah, so it's a one-of-a-kind sports film festival in Houston, June 3rd through 6th of 2021. We're not only going to have sports films that relate to life, we're going to have sports activities for kids to get them outside again. Also, I'm really excited to be partnering with them because my first car that I bought was a Jeep Wrangler right at this dealership, 1997 Jeep Wrangler. They've obviously gotten a little bit bigger since then. This holiday season, come get a Jeep Wrangler for yourself.
Guys, we got the website below. Swipe up, swipe up, swipe up. Register right now for all the updates. It'll be coming up before you know it. Swipe up right now, and that website, Josh, is?
HISFF.org for Houston International Sports Film Festival.org.
Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks.
I always believed or hoped that I'll get an opportunity to get back to the NBA. I mean, that's the reason why we played in the CBA.
There was always somebody in Albany that wanted to be a little bigger, and then the Patroons gave him a taste of that.
That phone call probably changed his fate. You know, he probably would have owned some major company.
Phil Jackson, a familiar name to everyone in basketball, especially familiar now around the Continental Basketball Association.
I honestly think I have so many good CBA memories.
When George spoke, we all listened. We all follow his direction. And that year, 50 and 6, he knew what the hell he was doing.
Here's your chance to show somebody up in the NBA. You're worth a look.
From them, I knew how to work, how to get ready for NBA season.
The incredible.
I don't know that this could have been possible, without the experience I had in the CBA.
Hi, I'm Josh Merwin. I'm the founder of the Houston International Sports Film Festival. I'm here with Brendan Casey, interviewing him because his film was actually the first film that was ever submitted to the film festival. As you can see, we're in Albany by the Capitol. We're social distancing, and I'll let Brendan take it from here.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, our film, The Minor League Mecca, is a film about the Albany Patroons. There's a minor league basketball team playing in the Albany, New York area, just up the street at the Washington Avenue Armory. From 1982 to 1992, and they played in the CBA, which was the Continental Basketball Association, and they had great teams in Albany with really rabid fans. And growing up in this area, it was something I knew about, and I thought it was a really good story that sports fans across the country may have heard about, but would definitely want to learn more about.
What's really interesting for me is that when you submitted the film, it was while The Last Dance was going on. So.
Okay.
I was able to watch the film in context with Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, and Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, a major influence in this film was Phil Jackson. He was the first big-name coach that they brought out to coach the Albany Patroons.
Yeah.
Your team and the owners of that team understood marketing
pretty
well.
Yeah.
How to take advantage of the big names. Very similar footage in terms of Phil Jackson's coaching career in The Last Dance, and then which the Albany Patroons were mentioned in The Last Dance.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting for me.
Yeah, that was interesting to go through this process and make this film where Phil, we sat with him for an hour and a half and interviewed him.
Yeah.
And, Albany was the springboard for his career. If you don't have the Albany Patroons, Phil Jackson's probably not coaching the Bulls.
Yeah.
And there's a Michael Jordan, but it's not the Michael Jordan that we know right now.
Yeah.
So, it's weird how things spin out that way.
So what's really cool is I wanted to tell you we're actually accepting your film.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So
Very
first film
excited.
accepted in the festival.
All right. That's excited. I'm glad that folks in Houston will be able to get a look at the film. And there's a few good Texas connections that I think will attract some of the Houston sports fans, and even folks throughout Texas would be interested.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is Mario Elie played for the Albany Patroons.
Yep.
And obviously, Clutch City, Houston, you know, he's a huge figure in Houston, really nice guy. So I'm actually going to try and get an interview with him in the next couple weeks as well.
Yeah, Mario, he's great. He was great to talk to. We were able to interview him in New York City. He's from New York. His mother still lives in New York, and so we were able to meet up with him down there. And you know, he's known as a Houston Rocket and a big Houston supporter. Although I know he's still a Yankees fan because I see him like getting into it with Astros fans. But as far as a basketball player, he's probably the most talented and you know, most prolific player to go on to the NBA to have success and win multiple championships with Houston and with the Spurs. So he was a great guy, and I'm sure he'll be happy to speak with you guys. And he's very engaged in the Houston community with sports. With his wife also very engaged in the community. Just a great person.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you know, one of the reasons I wanted to start this film festival, obviously, because I have a film and I realized there was a need for a film festival that centered on sports, but also how sports relates to people's lives and how kids are introduced to sports. You know, most often it's from a parent or grandparent. And so I think it's, you know, a very unique tie-in. You know, and a lot of kids can learn life lessons through sports, and sports can pull kids up out of bad situations and let them focus on that and keep them safe. And then, you know, if they end up going pro, you know, let them have a pro career. But more importantly, let them have structure and learn how to work together as a team.
Sure. You know, one of the interesting things that I learned throughout this film is, you know, there's some major names that had great success and guys that made millions of dollars, like Phil Jackson, Mario Elie, George Karl, who came through Albany. But there's a lot of guys that kind of fly under the radar. They were just below the NBA, so they didn't get that NBA ticket long term. But they all became mentors for children and coaches, and that's something that, you know, everybody that we talked to would talk about. You know, whether they're coaching, whether they're a player, it was always about giving back and helping their community. So I think it speaks volumes and then ties into what you're doing.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and the other thing we'll be doing is, you know, assuming we're in-person events, we'll be having sports activities for kids that relate to the film. So hopefully we get Mario Elie involved. He can do some basketball clinics, you know, unique things like that where we can get the community involved, and then you know, help athletes. Charities raise money, so you know, the film festival can give back directly to those communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one other cool thing is that if you're a filmmaker, you may know what this is, but this is actually the Red Komodo. It's a new camera from Red. We got one of the early release Stormtrooper cameras, and we're actually going to be loaning this out to filmmakers in Texas and all around the country to help them get high quality cinema footage for their films. So we'll be launching that in the next couple weeks as well. We'll tell you how you can apply to do that and use the camera.
We shot our doc thoroughly on Reds. The whole thing from start to finish was shot on different Red cameras, and it's our top camera of choice, and I'm not being paid to say this. We just love it. Our videographers love it, and you know, if you guys get a chance to use that, you won't be sorry that you did.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a unique kind of, not underdog story, but you know, a unique story about how Red Cinema came about. Jim Janner, the founder of Oakley, sold Oakley and wanted something to do, and he decided to, from scratch, make the best digital cinema camera you could have, and you know, it's really led the efforts in digital cinema. So, you know, I like that story. It's a good little story too, and tie in with sports with Oakley.
Sure.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to tell us? I guess. So, how did you get into filmmaking?
So, my background is not filmmaking, but I run a communications and marketing firm here in Albany, and we do traditional layout, graphic design, a lot of print production, website, app development, and videography. So we do a lot of corporate work, you know, web videos, commercials for clients across the country. And that kind of got me into it. I would help produce the spots and manage them. And then I had this idea that the Patroons story had never been told. And I thought, wouldn't that be a fun thing to tell and kind of start this project? So we started it out very basically with a few interviews at the Albany Armory where the Patroons used to play. And very shortly thereafter, we were able to get an interview with Phil Jackson. And then once we talked to Phil, it was just kind of full speed ahead. We have to tell this story. And it became much easier when you called someone saying, well, we already talked to Phil. Everybody wanted to line up.
It takes that one person.
That's all it takes.
It helps out.
But it was his assistant and really one of his best friends, Charlie Rosen, was kind enough to make that introduction and hook us up. And just worked out. But that's kind of my background. I love stories, I love history, I love sports. And this kind of brought all those things together, and I was just happy to kind of document it and share it with sports fans. And we've a few people have seen it here and there, and they don't have to be sports fans, because I think stories and the meaning of the stories transcends sports, right? Sports is a method to transfer a story or to show competition, but the meaning of it is deeper than that, and I think the same thing goes with this film.
Cool. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, sports can be a definite metaphor for life, and yeah. All right, so let's talk about a few of the other Texas connections that are in your film.
Yep. So aside from Mario Elie, one of the other big names that people in Houston will recognize, may not be too happy about, will be Rick Carlisle, the head coach of the Dallas Mavs. So Rick was a guard, or maybe a small forward, for the Boston Celtics for a couple of years in the mid-'80s. He won a championship with them. He was kind of a role player, but he was on the team with Bird and all those great stars. And he got cut, and one of the Patroons, one of their coaches was Bill Musselman. He picked him up off the waiver wire and brought him in, and so he had a short stint here in Albany, but it was a very impactful stint. Rick is from upstate New York. He's a local guy within the region, so he was here for part of a season, and he's kind of stayed with the team and followed them. They went on to win a championship that year, and it was very impactful for his career in terms of what he learned at his time with Albany. And he credits what he learned here in Albany with being able to win an NBA title. So he's a guy that's down in Texas now, still being very successful with his career, and they obviously have a bright future with the Mavs. One of the other players, Ralph McPherson, I believe he's from right outside of Dallas. He went to, I believe he was at Texas, and then went Texas Arlington. And just like people still talk about him as one of the best all-around Patroons. He had a great career overseas in Spain and Germany, but he's just a great Texan, a great guy. We interviewed him down in Texas, and he had a great career here and is still well liked. He came back up. I got to meet him, and he went with friends around here, and just a great guy. So there's probably always somebody from Texas in every film.
Yeah, we like that. Bigger and better, right?
Yeah,
no, just kidding.
No, that's right. I'm not gonna argue that.
And you said they brought the team back recently?
Yeah, the Patroons. There's been a couple of times they've tried to revive the team. From '82 to '92 was the first run and the strongest run of the team, and that's the one that produced Phil, George Karl, Bill Musselman, all these good players, Scotty Brooks, Mario Elie, Rick Carlisle. All these guys came up and went on to greater success. And then they folded after moving downtown to a much larger 14,000 seat arena. The cost got too expensive. The team folded and moved to Connecticut. In 2005, they tried to bring them back in the CBA, but the league just wasn't as strong as it used to be. And they had a 3-year run. They put a couple of guys into the NBA, one being Jamario Moon, who had a pretty good career, played with LeBron in Cleveland. And then, interestingly enough, in 2017, one of the former players that was on the Patroons that played under Phil, named David Magley, left the Canadian Basketball League and started his own league, the TBL, and he brought the Patroons back in that. So they had a couple-year run there, trying to build it back up, get the community engaged again. They actually won a championship and were having some success, and then COVID hit during the middle of the last season, which kind of put a damper on things. So we'll see. It seems to be like the cat with 9 lives. The Patroons always come back, whether people want them to or not. We'll see. But it's some of those things. There's always, it shows the impact it had on the local area and on the fans.
Cool. Great. I mean, I think we got a lot of great info. I want to really thank Brendan for taking the time to meet with me.
Great. Thanks, Josh.
Looking forward to seeing Brendan, his film, The Minor League Mecca, and everybody else at the Houston International Sports Film Festival, June 3rd through 6th of 2021. This started as just a dream a few years ago, and now we're ready to launch June 3rd through 6th of 2021. The Helfmans are huge supporters of the city of Houston and love our sports teams. They've got lots of signed memorabilia, and we're going to be giving away one piece of memorabilia every week. So register on our website, hisff.org. get up on our email list, and then you can win one of the signed pieces of memorabilia. You can also come to River Oaks Chrysler Jeep Dodge and get a $500 discount on a new car.